This video concerns the AQA English Language Paper 2 exam with a focus on question 1. Before you begin to work through the series of videos on Paper 2, it would be a good idea for you to have the sources to hand, and you can find those on the AQA website. So if you post this link into your browser, it should take you straight through to the Assessment Resources page, and when you're on that page, if you click Paper 2 Specimen Insert, then that should automatically download for you, and you can view the sources that we're going to be working with. So when you get to Paper 2, you're going to be confronted with two non-fiction texts. Now those texts will be linked by a similar topic, but they'll also differ quite significantly, because one of them will be from the 19th century and the other will be from the 20th or the 21st century. You've got an hour and 45 minutes to answer this exam, and AQA suggests that 15 minutes of that time is spent reading through source A and source B. Now that's quite a long time to read through two sources, and so you might like to think to yourself how you could be a little bit smarter with that time to be able to help you later on in the paper to answer questions 2, 3 and 4. One of those strategies is to employ TAP. Now TAP stands for Text, Audience and Purpose. Alone, TAP won't help you to necessarily answer question 1, but what it will do is give you some insight into the text and to start to help you to understand them and to start to help you to analyse what the writer's intentions were in the first place and what they wanted to achieve with their writing. And that will definitely help you with questions 2, 3 and 4. So it's definitely a worthwhile process to put in place, particularly in this 15 minutes reading time. So let's break down TAP further and see what that's all about. So, T stands for text, and that basically means what form is the writing. And you can ask yourself, does that shed any light on the writer's intention as to why they put it in that format? So you would take source A in front of you and you would ask yourself, okay, is this in the form of a letter? Is it a newspaper article? Is it a speech? Is it an online article? You can have multiple different types of text, and you would do that again for source B. An interesting one is to consider the audience. So this is where you would ask yourself, who is this source being written for? Who's the writer targeted? And again, you would do that for source A and source B. And one that you'll definitely want to address is what is the purpose of both texts, so A and B. You can ask yourself, why have they been written, and what is it that the writer's trying to achieve? Are they trying to inform you? Are they trying to persuade you? Entertain you perhaps? You decide. So paper 2 question 1 carries 4 marks, so hopefully you wouldn't be spending any longer than 5 minutes on that question. Question 1 will ask you to identify 4 correct statements from a possible list of 8. And you're going to need to decide on the correct statement by selecting either explicit or implicit information. Basically, this question is testing how well have you understood the information that you've read, and can you use that understanding to identify which statements are true and which statements are false. And to be able to access the true statements, you are going to need to be able to draw on your understanding of explicit and implicit information. So let's just have a quick reminder of what those actually mean. So explicit information is stated clearly, leaving no room for doubt or confusion. It's quite often easier to see explicit information because it's on the surface, it's kind of right there in front of you. You don't have to really delve into the text too much to find the information because it's on the surface, it's almost factual right in front of you. Implicit, on the other hand, tends to be buried beneath the surface a little bit. So we have to use our inference skills to be able to think, okay, what is being suggested to me from the information that I've got in front of me. So implicit information is suggested, though not directly expressed. So let's have a look at the question that we're going to be working on. As with every other question that we've looked at so far, you need to focus on the key components of the question so that you're fully informed before you begin to answer it. So pause the video now, have a read through, the question which is on screen and decide for yourselves which are the key bits of this question, what's the key information that's going to help you to answer it to its full potential. So hopefully you did pause the video and hopefully you've underlined some similar things. So it says, read again the first part of source A from lines 1 to 15. So key information has got to be source A. So you can push source B to one side at the moment because literally you're just being asked about the first source that you come across. Also, you need to take note of the number of lines that you are allowed to look at. Lines 1 to 15 here. So don't be tempted to draw on any information to help you decide whether the statements are true from beyond these lines because they won't be credited. I should probably have highlighted this. You need to select 4 statements, not 5 or 3, exactly 4, and you only need to go for the statements which you think are true. So because in this question you have been asked to just draw on lines 1 to 15, it would be a good idea for you to draw a box around that, just to make the section of text that you're allowed to look at really, really clear. So if you've done that to your own copy of the source, then you should have the information on your page in a box which is just in blue here. Now the 8 possible statements for this question are just listed to the right hand side here. The way that you go about question 1 is to consider only the information within your box. And you are going to systematically go through each of the statements, just one by one. And each time you come across a new statement, you're going to ask yourself, okay, is that true based on the information which I have got in here? Now sometimes it's going to be pretty explicit, the information is going to be very on the surface and it will be easy to say, yeah, that's true, or no, that's not here, it's definitely not true. Sometimes that information will be a little bit more buried and therefore you have to use your inference skills to extract that implicit information. So why don't you pause the video now and go through and follow that process of going through each of these statements individually to assess whether the statement is true based on this section of text that you have in front of you. So pause the video now and have a go at picking out the 4 correct statements. So hopefully you paused the video and you came up with the answers C, D, F and H. So the ones that are coloured are the correct answers. So there's a colour code here, and the reason that I have underlined information in the same colour as the correct statement is to show you where you might have been able to draw on information to tell you that that statement was true. So just in case you got any of them wrong, let's clear it up by going through this. So, as a boy, Jay Rayner worried about handing his homework in on Monday morning. Well, if we look for the pink section here, this sheet is all my childhood Sunday night feelings of dread come at once. Now, it doesn't literally say that Jay Rayner was worried about handing in his homework on Monday morning. Instead, it's more implicit. But we get the sense through the fact that he was feeling lots of dread on Sunday night that actually that is correct. If we look at D, Jay Rayner could not think of a food metaphor to help his son. Well, if we find that colour over here, it does literally say that he couldn't do that. It says that quite explicitly. It links with the last paragraph, but this sentence is very, very explicit about the fact that he's saying that I didn't and I wasn't able to find a food metaphor to help my son. If we come to F, as a boy, Jay Rayner did not enjoy doing his homework. There were actually several hints that you could have picked out through this section of text to show that this was true, but I've gone for this one. Carefully planned idleness ruined by the imposition of essays and worksheets. So implicitly, because we've kind of had to read between the lines here, this idea that the fact that he thought that his evenings were ruined by the idea of homework definitely suggests to us that he didn't really enjoy doing it. And then finally, hopefully you've also selected H as a correct answer, which says Jay Rayner makes a joke to cover up his own real exam results, which he definitely does when he says that his grades lined up like a line of Pac-Men doing a conga. Okay, so let's have a reminder of the process. Firstly, you need to underline the key parts of the question, particularly focusing on whether the exam board have told you that you are only allowed to look at a certain number of lines. If they have done that, draw a box around the section of the text stated in the question so that you're not tempted to draw on any information outside of that area, because remember that won't be credited. The next step is checking each of the statements individually against the information in the box to decide whether that is true or whether the statement is false. And remember that you can draw on your implicit or your explicit understanding of the text to help you decide if the statement is true. Then finally, you need to shade the boxes of the 4 statements that you deem to be correct. Just some things to watch out for on this question, not many of them. Only base your answer on the information from inside the designated lines, as we've already discussed, and then just make sure that you select only 4 answers. And that is question 1 of paper 2.